The studio lights blazed down on the polished mahogany desk, cameras rolling, and millions of Americans glued to their screens. The tension in the air was thick, almost electric, as two senators sat across from each other, ready for a televised debate that had already been hyped for days. Everyone knew sparks would fly. What they didn't know was that one sentence, just one, would silence the room and leave viewers stunned. Rand Paul leaned forward, his voice sharp, eyes flashing with irritation. "You know, Senator Kennedy, you come across as arrogant. You dismiss anyone who disagrees with you, and you think your way is the only way. That kind of attitude is dangerous in Washington." The words cut through the studio like a blade, and for a brief moment, the audience froze. Calling John Kennedy arrogant on live television wasn't just bold, it was a direct challenge. Cameras zoomed in. The producers behind the glass wall whispered frantically. "And Kennedy?" He sat back, calm as a still pond, eyes narrowing with quiet focus. He didn't interrupt. He didn't flinch. He just let the silence hang in the air, a silence that seemed louder than any words. This was more than politics. This was about dignity, character, and the way leaders respond when they're under fire. Kennedy finally leaned forward, resting his elbows gently on the desk. His southern drawl carried the kind of steady authority that made even his critics stop and listen. "Senator Paul," he said, voice even but firm, "arrogance isn't believing in your values, it's belittling others for having theirs." The words landed like a thunderclap. The audience gasped, some clapped instinctively, while others sat stunned in silence. Rand Paul, for all his fiery energy, suddenly looked caught off guard. His rebuttal froze on his lips, his hands fumbling slightly as if searching for a counterpunch that wouldn't come. Kennedy's single sentence had flipped the entire moment on its head. But this wasn't just about one exchange. It was about the deeper clash of personalities and principles that played out for the next hour. Paul pressed hard, arguing that Kennedy's style was condescending, that he brushed off opposing viewpoints. Kennedy, in turn, didn't meet fire with fire, he met it with poise, patience, and a quiet but razor-sharp wit. When Paul accused Kennedy of caring more about appearances than people, Kennedy replied, "I grew up in a place where folks didn't care how polished your shoes were. They cared whether you kept your word. That's what I live by." When Paul said Kennedy refused to compromise, Kennedy looked straight into the camera and said, "Compromise is noble when it doesn't ask you to betray your conscience. Some things can bend. Others must stand." The audience wasn't just watching a debate anymore, they were watching a lesson unfold in real time. It wasn't about left or right, red or blue. It was about how a leader responds when the easiest path is to lash out, but the stronger path is